All right, let's look at this assignment. Okay, each student in this class must meet with another student outside the class. Professor aims to build, yep. Introduce yourself and your classmate. Hello, I am Jenna Orem. Um, I'm doing this assignment right now, and my phone is going nuts.
Hello, my name is Lydia, and I am also doing this assignment, and I can concur that her phone and my phone are going nuts thanks to the Pronto app. But hey, we're getting it together right now. Making it work.
Yeah. Okay, so to start this off, prompt, introduce yourself to blah blah blah. If you were the US president for 24 hours and can change three current laws forever, what laws would they change and why? Examples, abortion laws, student loans, Second Amendment, immigrant laws, emergency disaster funding laws, K through 12 education laws, voting laws, tattoo laws, okay, Supreme Court justice until death laws, driving cars laws and divorce laws. Hmm. Well, there are definitely a lot that need to be changed in each of these categories, but if
Yes.
I were to choose three, one of the ones, probably not the first thing that I do, but something that I like definitely believe needs to be reevaluated is Supreme Court justices being the Supreme Court justice until death. I really don't think that should be the case because I don't think people should be able to hold power for too long, in my opinion. I think we need those strict, like, 2 years for governors, 4 years for 4 years and two terms for presidents. I strongly believe in that for sure. So that's something I definitely change. Just keeping those political guardrails up and safe. What would be the first one that you think of?
Actually, I'm happy that you chose that one because that was one of my ones that I would change because I feel like um, we to be considered a real democratic government and be living in democracy. No one should be able to have control that long as well. And not only that, times change, the norms change, societal, what society says is okay changes throughout time. And sometimes, unfortunately, there's people that don't grow with society and can get stuck in a certain way of functioning. And sometimes that doesn't align with everybody. And so I feel like to keep a democracy, we need to eliminate one person from having that power for too long because definitely they can abuse that power and without any kind of regulation. Why is it that we regulate the presidency, the mayor, the governor, everything else is has a time regulation, but why not this one? And then it gives opportunity to change, between political parties, and everybody can get a opportunity to have a leader that they see fit in that role.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, I remember taking this one government and presidency class and just learning all about political guardrails and political norms, stuff in place that
Mhm.
isn't necessarily written into law explicitly, but that we do follow. I
Exactly.
think it's just very important, like for um policy and like the political environment in America in particular, because there have been many, many countries who have had like the same laws written into their constitutions by America, by like America themselves, and those governments have collapsed. So I really think that social and like political norms are like key to like, you know, keeping a country stable, at least a
Yes,
country's democracy stable. But yeah, I
exactly.
definitely agree with you on that.
Definitely.
Let's see, driving laws, divorce laws. I think divorce laws are pretty standard. You just divorce someone and then yay. Or I guess someone could argue that like there should be tighter divorce laws, like people shouldn't be able to divorce people as easily, which I would definitely not advise. Um, I'm looking at all these. All of these are just crazy. The second one, if I were to just choose one, I don't know. I think abortion laws are pretty good where they are. I think that there should be more there should be more states that allow it just for medical reasons because you never know with each person. It's such a charged conversation, but I still people still think that people still need the option nonetheless, you know? Like we should still be able to have the choice of that choice just in case for any number of reasons. I think it's good to like let people have that choice of like what is going to be affecting the rest of their lives, especially since our government doesn't really support the child after it's born. There's not many policies that you can get. You know, you have SNAP benefits, you can put dependents on your taxes, but you can't really do much, for the child after they're born. So there is that. Um, but what would do you have your second one that you think you would approach?
Well, I think we're our abortion one. I would definitely cover abortion. I would actually, I'm a little more strict on that one because only 1% of abortions performed out of the millions that are performed are deemed medically necessary. So at some point, there needs to be some kind of it needs to really be a medical necessary thing instead of using it as birth control, because that's what it's really boiling down to right now. There's only 1%. It's even less than 1% for rape victims or incest that are actually performed, abortions that are performed. So if they were performed on medically necessary reasons, which I do know that there is medically necessary reasons because the mother could be at risk, the child could be at risk. But, if the same people who are arguing that they need to have rights to abortions, then we need to give that same consideration as far as to like vaccinations and things like that. Because if not, then you can't say, my body, my choice or anything like that. And I'm not against it for being medical reasons, but I am against it for just using as birth control because statistics have proven, the facts have proven, the people have had cases and things proven where they're using the fetuses and things like that as far as science purposes rather than, and then where the clinics are being placed, you're placing them in predominantly low income African American communities where you're making them accessible instead of giving them preventative measures. You're just, hey, let's abortion. Abortion should not be the number one use contraception right now. And right now, that is one of the number one use of contraception is abortion. So I would argue that it shouldn't be allowed unless it is deemed medically necessary, and you need to have it performed within a week of finding out that you've gotten an issue. Because if it's that terminal, or if it could kill you or your child, then there's no need to prolong it or allow that baby because science says, biology says that that child has a heartbeat and is feeling things at soon as 4 weeks old. So, but you can't even detect illnesses until after that. So any abortion that would be performed for a medically necessity reason wouldn't be performed until usually after 20 weeks at the anatomy scan. So that's already almost 5 months pregnant. So that child is
Yeah.
already getting limbs, has nerves, and all those things. So that child is going to feel what is going to happen, regardless of the situation. So it needs to be regulated if it's going to be deemed medically necessary.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on the part of prevention. I think we need more preventative measures because, there have been instances where women feel very sad, I think, about getting an abortion. So I would definitely agree with you on that part. Like, we definitely need more preventative measures. And then we also need more like accessibility for women with children because
Exactly.
if we really want these women, because there are some women who do not have the resources to sustain themselves, just themselves, and like
Mhm.
it's not even like realistic to be able to think, oh, I can't take care of myself. How am I going to take care of a child,
Exactly.
Like I think we should have more resources for women and for parents uh that encourage having children rather than encouraging abortion. I
Exactly.
think if we had that, I think it would be a lot less frequent. But when it comes down to it, it should still be available. I think, that some women really need that choice. Some women may be in a situation with their partner that is not necessarily unsafe, but it wouldn't be the best situation if they were tied down with a child in that relationship.
So in
So, I
that
mean,
same sense, if
everyone's
you
situation is different, but I could definitely agree with you that we need more support if we're going to be able to I guess stop the declining birth rate. So I can definitely agree with you on that.
But at what
But
point do you say, like you use the example of someone get having an abortion because they don't want to be tied to a toxic partner or someone that could be detriment to them. But if you are
just
an
an
adult making
example.
that adult decision to lay down, if you're not being raped, because the less than 1% of abortions is due to rape, if you're not being raped, you made an adult decision. You made a conscious decision to perform that act. You participated. You were a willing participant in that act. So if you willingly participated in that act, knowing you didn't have the means, knowing you were in a toxic relationship, knowing that you didn't want to stay with this person, you as an adult, because at the time you're just choosing to make adult decisions, and now society says at 13 you can consent to sex. So if you're choosing to consent and make these adult decisions, any abortion after that is only used for birth control because, hey, I got mad at my boyfriend today and I don't want to have a baby.
Mm,
Well, guess what? You can get mad today and then go back tomorrow, which people do. But then you already eliminated someone. You aborted your child, unborn child, because you were upset today or you were mad. And abortions are given out like hotcakes now. They'll give you an abortion before they give you a condom.
mhm. Yeah. Uh, yeah, and everyone's situation's different, so just having that option for for that I still think is important. So I think it should still exist. I don't think it definitely shouldn't be banned or anything. Um, but yeah. For my second one, looking at
Oh, the third
this,
one.
or I guess the third, like I
Yeah.
guess yeah, I would change a bit about abortion laws. But for my third one, I'm looking at this. Voting laws are pretty, I think they're pretty good. Yeah. And then driving, divorce, abortion laws, we already talked about that. Student loans. Hmm. I think the Department of Education is doing okay for what it's worth. Laws. I guess I would choose, oh my gosh, maybe Second Amendment laws. Yeah, I mean, I still think there should be a bit more gun control in some states and some areas. Though I still think that people should be able to own a gun. I don't think it's necessary to have, for example, like an AR in New York. Like maybe like if you want to use more automatic assault rifles for whatever purposes, maybe you could use them in a space where like hunting, like in I don't know, Montana. I don't know.
Yeah.
Where's there a lot of hunting at? Nebraska maybe? I don't know. But in like maybe some of those like rural hunting towns where there's just like a lot of open space and uh I guess hunting is like more developed into the culture. I think that should be slightly looser. So like maybe like carrying it in your car is like a little bit more acceptable. But I
Hmm.
don't think that certain states even or certain areas should be carrying those things just because,
Yeah.
for safety reasons, in
Yeah.
tight spaces and like, you know, It's just kind of like a very specific type of scenario. But that would be my third one.
Yes. I think my third one, I mean, I think that's a good point for you. I agree on some of those points. I think the law should definitely be more regulated, definitely, because we need people to be have stricter background checks that go through the process, maybe have a psych evaluation even, you know what I mean, before we just say, okay, you're 18, you're 21, you can just go get a assault rifle, go for it, just because it's your right, I mean, don't take the right away, but let's definitely control it a little bit and rein it in a bit, So I think
Yeah.
there can definitely do some improvement in that area for sure. My other one I would pick would be K through 12 education. Um, I think it's so important right now because the kids are being molded and that's our future. And right now at this young age, especially kindergarten through obviously high school, they're learning their spot in society. They're learning what they believe in, their values. They're learning what they accept, what they want to tolerate. And so I believe that I would change the history, how we teach them. I would want to incorporate like like all history, not just American history, like let's teach them everything, let's incorporate it all. And I would change the vaccination laws. I think that it, we don't need to have all of the children should not be vaccinated for 72 vaccines before they're even in fifth or sixth grade. That's crazy. I don't know why we have so many. I think they need to be more regulated and toned down a little bit because I'm not against them, but I feel like they should have an option. And if not only that, if you're not giving the kids an option, then they don't get a choice what they're doing. You can go take a 10-year-old and say, okay, you got to get the HPV or you got to get the whooping cough, and they don't have a choice. So I feel like um, those laws should be regulated a little bit more, so that way parents and the children, especially at a certain age, can have an input and a say on what they want to actually put in their body in that sense, as far as chemicals and medications wise. Um, because at 14, 15 years old, they're already making their own opinion. If they can make medical decisions at the hospital, why can't they make a choice whether they want to do that? And then I would definitely find any state who doesn't re- um, go with any like universal government laws. Like if you can't comply, then you lose all your funding because it shouldn't be what's good for us isn't good for them. It should, if we're going to incorporate it here, we should incorporate it because everybody should have the same access and availability and the same opportunity when it comes to education. So I don't think that we should say, why are some states getting better tests? Why are some states having higher production rates? Why? Do they have access to better education? Do they have access to better materials? Do they have access to higher educated educators? I would say that we need to make the education equal across the board so that way it can be an equal playing field for all of the people that are our next generation that are going to come out. It's going to be an equal playing field for the schools for them to get into to get their secondary education. If we're molding them correctly now and through the beginning, then when we set them out into the world as adults, they'll have a stronger foundation to be able to be more successful in a secondary education, whether it's trade school or a 4-year or 2-year university. So I think that we need to focus on the education, the equal education as a whole, as far as textbooks. Like if you go to a school in the ghetto, you shouldn't have textbooks from 2000 and these kids got textbooks from 2024 or 2025. But because you live in a lower income community, you don't get to get the laptop to bring home. You don't get to get that. No, if it's education and it's government funded, it shouldn't be deemed to, oh, you get, because you live in a different area code, your school gets more money. No, let's divvy it up fairly amongst all the schools. So that way they all can have the equal education.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think that we should give federal funding to areas that are like more unfortunate in like the city because not as many some cities don't make as much from the tax collecting than others.
And a
I
lot of
think
people
that,
don't understand that the tax brackets, they don't understand that you get funding based on tax brackets.
yeah. So yeah, I definitely agree. I think we should definitely put a lot more funding into education because like, that's our future, that's our youth. Like if we don't invest in them, then they're not going to invest in themselves and our country in general. So yeah, I definitely
Exactly.
agree.
Or even increasing the incentive, or even like the whole No Child Left Behind. We shouldn't create a whole generation of people that, oh, just because you showed up today, you get to pass and move on. No, you have to learn. You have to, because what's going to happen, like, or like even now there's people that rely on the AI stuff. Lord, if you get a doctor or a lawyer that's like that, just that's all they did was online school, they go, hold on, let me go look at this, let me Google it and see how to solve my problem. You know what I mean? Like, we got to have some real problem solvers, some skills, some hands on, some core like skills.
Yeah, yeah, AI has also been a huge thing in education now, like how we should be using it and what we shouldn't be using it for,
And even
certainly.
the educators are using AI as well to help them with their plans and with their grading and everything. So it's crazy.
Yeah. And it's gonna continue doing like being that. Gonna continue being used as a tool, which I think it should be used more as a tool than as a
Crutch.
something that AI lacks is creativity. I think it should, solely be on the side of a tool. So if you need all these calculations done like in 30 minutes and the company's relying on you and you got this assignment late, but it needs to be done now, using AI to do math, it's not that
It's
big
not
of
guaranteed.
an issue. It's not that big of an issue, but if you need AI to find a precedent in for a court case, right? There have been instances of AI like making stuff up and like creating ideas and creating instances that don't exist. So in that regard, I think that
And the communication error can be things can get lost in translation from you to the AI or whatever you're using. I'm not sure. But I think
lost in
we got it.
translation. Yeah, yeah, I think that should be good. Yeah, definitely send me the link.
I'm gonna figure out how to share it. I mean, okay, let me
Yeah.
stop it.